Okay, this is what we're up against. School. This is Newsweek. Schoolboys forced to apologize to female classmates on behalf of their gender. It's gotten to the point that now they're just outright doing it. Some parents, some of male students in school in Australia were seething after their sons were forced to stand up in assembly and apologize to their female classmates on behalf of their gender. Only some of them. Says a lot about parents. And they're seething, but I bet there was never any apologies brought out or none of this. We won't do it again. The incident happened at Broward College, a senior school in, let's see if I can get it right, Warrnambool, Victoria, on Wednesday. One parent, Daniel Shepard, who has a 12-year-old son at the school, told 7 News her son was feeling confused after being told to apologize. Wow. Her son was confused. He should have been pissed. He said that he was made to stand up and basically apologize. You see, he's 12, so he's too young to realize that society sees him as a cotton picker. All this talk of equality, he didn't realize what it was really about. It wasn't explained properly to the male students what they were doing and why they were doing it. I got news for you. These guys know what's going on. These guys absolutely know what's going on. He's only confused now, but it'll sink in. What if they were told? What if they were honest and said, "You guys are beneath the girls," which they did. Actually, they were honest. You say because these guys are young guys. He's only 12, so he isn't even probably hit puberty yet. So he doesn't know what's going on. He's too young. It's confusing, I guess. The news came after James Merlano, acting premier and education minister in the state of Victoria, announced that lessons about consent would become mandatory in the state schools in Victoria from next month in an expansion of the Victorian government's Respectful Relations program. Respect means reverence, and relations mean boys know your place. Reference for the girls. That's what this is. The consent classes, which only affects the guys, by the way, because the guys are the ones that have to initiate. So the girls will be fine, and that's why they do this. Were announced amid national conversation about the sexual harassment of girls. In other words, these low status nobodies are coming on to the girls, and the girls don't like it. That's what the sexual harassment is. Sparked in part by multiple allegations of assault and harassment on campus from student in Wesley College, a top private school in Melbourne. See the same thing. Notice all these assaults. How come they're happening now? Have men changed? This wasn't happening 30 years ago. So all the guys got grabby at once? No. It's just that we've reached a point in history where the girls don't need the guys to the point where they can just show their open contempt. I got to get this right. When the reverential relations program began, it focused more generally on relationships, sexuality, and safety. See, they're using weasel words like safety. There's no danger involved. So that's gone. What they're focusing on is these guys knowing their place. This sex is better than you. The Victorian government has said teachers will be given extra resources and guidance to prepare them to teach lessons about guys knowing their place in April. See, this is the government fund. So the whole government's in on this. Do you ever notice that? And it's not just Australia. It's here in Canada. It's in the UK. It's in the States. And it's in Sweden. It's everywhere. So I guess these must be all Marxist governments, are they? For all these guys, because you know that in the comment sections are going to be guys talking about Marxist and communist. Broward College organized the assembly about reference for women and girls. but parents were told what form the discussion would take, the 7 Part News. So, what difference about what form it is? It's about reference to women and girls. So, the boys are going to be second rate citizens, and the parents know it. So, they should have been pissed at the beginning. Shows you what parents are about. I told you over and over again, people don't care about children. The school's principal, Jane Boyle, told the network that while the assembly was well intended, nope, complete opposite. That's a bullshit lie, a bold faced lie. She recognized that the public apology was inappropriate. See, weasel words, right? It's not inappropriate, it's outrageous. And they use this word, what it is when she says it, she means, oh, we showed our hand. And parents got pissed, rightfully so, the few that had any respect. Boyle said in the statement, schools play an important role in propaganda and for reference of all female students. I'm correcting it here, as you can see. Promotion of safety and respect for all students. No, it means for propaganda to tell the boys to revere all female students. And discussions in schools around respect towards girls and women are a part of the key of this vital work. It's not a part of it. It is just them telling the boys to know their place. That's it. There's nothing else involved in the discussion. It's not a discussion. It's a demand. I'm correcting that word too. There's a lot of word correction in this. This week at a whole school assembly, Broward College discussed the topic of reverence for women and the importance of the bystander behavior and speaking up to report incidents and behavior where guys come on to girls. That's what I'm correcting that too. Guys coming on to girls. So they want if some guy is coming onto a girl, another guy has to come in and white knight and stop him from getting anywhere. He's got to cock block him. The assembly, including the screening of a video message by Brisbane Boys College captain Mason Black about being proactive in stopping guys from coming on to girls. That's what sexual harassment means. And of course, it's some white knight bootlicking campus guy. As part of the demand, boys are demanded to stand as a symbolic gesture of showing that apology for the behaviors coming on to girls of their gender, that they have hurt and offended girls and women. When he comes on to girls, it also offends women too, right? That look at that low status nobody. He owns nothing. He isn't anybody. How dare he come on to that girl? In retrospect, while not unwell intended, we recognize this part of assembly was inappropriate. Yeah, we flubbed up. People started to call us on our viciousness. Boyle said the school would contact the parents to explain the reasons behind the assembly. Yeah, they got to try and cover their asses. Look, when we want to tell your sons that they're cotton pickers, that they're beneath the girls, well, we didn't say it in a nice enough way that you would be, uh, placated. Now we'll look at some of these. Now look at this. This guy, Jiv. I would suggest that making your young boys feel guilt and shame over something they haven't done is the problem, not the solution. He's right about that, except for the solution, but there's no problem anyway. There isn't sexual harassment going on. So there's no problem in the first place. It's time people realize the psychological damage schooling does to kids. Well, not schooling. This isn't schooling. These brainwashed educators are causing the very problems they claim to be fixing. They're not brainwashed, though. Trust me, all these adults know what they're doing. So JHV, whatever his name is, that's a fail. Humiliating all the boys publicly will only worsen the situation midterm. What kind of ill decision is this? That's not perfect either, because as you can say, he says the worst is the situation. The situation wasn't worse anyway. The boys didn't do anything. Reeps. Australia has been gripped in 2015 era feminist hysteria for the last few weeks. It's not hysteria, though, because if it was just hysteria, the boys wouldn't have been affected. And he's wrong about the era. It may have been 2015, but that's been built up to this. This has been going on since the 1960s, where the mere accusation of sexual assault is enough to trigger protest, and any expression of skepticism about the accuser will lead to the skeptic cravingly apologizing or risk being fired, sometimes one following the other anyway. He's right about that. The media, of course, just runs with it. Even the ostensibly conservative outlets like the Australian, exactly. Reeves actually point out the conservative outlets are just as bad as the left wings, right? The front page of our news outlets was something like, "Meet the brave schoolgirls taking a stand against culture of abuse." See, these guys coming onto them is abuse. Sounds familiar to any of us whom have been following this for the last 5 years or so. So Reeves has it generally right. It's just that he doesn't realize that this is an hysteria, and it's been working at this to come to this for decades. Who, whoever are the so-called adults that cause this type of disgusting action need to be jailed for child abuse. I agree with that. Um, but I wouldn't say something like this. This second part. The first sentence is good. It's great. It's perfect. Just jail these people for child abuse. That's exactly what it is. Oatmeal. It was not well intended. Thank you. It was meant to shame the boys because of their gender. That guy has it 100% right as well. The good intentions were the staff attempting to teach the boys to hate themselves for being wrong, an act of pathologizing half the human population. Thank you, Annoyed. Thank you. Now, this is what I'm talking about. Bob, hey, Aussie, grow some fucking balls already and remove these communists in your schooling system. See, the, the top guy up here, who I showed there, mentioned how the conservative outlets were showing this. So, of course, he goes on about communists. James Mitchell, they are not communists, they are feminists. Stop inventing fictional communists to scapegoat instead of going after the feminists who are actually damaging boys in schools. And sorry, but all countries are allowing feminists to abuse young male. Thank you, James Mitchell. He's right. Now, this is all we really need to know about this. But I mean, it has come to land. Believe it or not, it will get worse. It will get worse. Even though it's already as bad as I could have possibly imagined when I was young. I would have laughed and laughed. Kevin Bacon. There's nothing funny but what happened to those boys, so there's nothing to laugh at. Your reaction should be outrage. Because this is true. This is a posturing comment. And this is just as bad as the guys talking about communist, by the way. You know, it's the scapegoating guys, the guys who scapegoats and the guys who posture don't help. So we won't go any further than this. Thank you for watching. And we really are at the point where there has to be real action now. Or just get used to being, I don't even know if it's second-class citizens. Get ready to be the new cotton pickers. To just being beaten up on the streets randomly by police. And a woman say so. Goodbye, everyone.